I'm here with hip hop artist Stainless. How you doing today? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Definitely, man. Like, what's good with you?
Man, I'm hanging in there, man. Blessed, man. Can't complain
Definitely,
at all. How about yourself?
man. I'm excellent. Like, I was listening to some of your earlier work earlier this morning, like preparing for the interview, man. And like you've been grinding for a while. Like, how did you get into making music?
Oh man. Man, early 90s. I would say starting off like the very initial state was like me and my boys trying to mimic Bone Thugs and Harmony back in the day, man, trying to mimic the most like vicious flows we could hear. So I heard Busy Bone. It was like he was like the fastest one in the group. I was like, oh man, I want to try that. So I try to like get his words, flip them into my own, put my own little twist on them, and we started that way. But actually getting like making my own songs, uh, I want to say I started that at like 13, 14. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, it just been a great journey since then.
Yeah, I love Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm from the Midwest. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, man, but my whole family is from the Midwest. Like me, my son, and my sister, we all from Maryland, but my whole family's from Cleveland, Ohio. So everything is bone, 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 bone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's awesome. What was it like growing up in Maryland?
It was cool, man. I like to say it's one of the illest melting pots you could ever be in. You know what I mean? Where I grew up was Briggs Cheney area, Montgomery County. So it's the burbs, of course, but it had a little bit of everything, man. It had like your Hispanic people, it had your Asian people, it had believe it or not, very little white people. It was a little bit of everything else but white people. But yeah, I got to experience everything, man. My first couple fights growing up, um, you know, first crush, first getting crushed, all of that type of stuff. So it was great growing up. It wasn't tough at all, at least me looking back at it now and looking at how things go now for the younger guys now, wasn't tough at all, man. Like I feel like we dealt with stuff a lot different than kids deal with stuff now. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. Like, I feel like in today's generation, like it seems like people are less likely to fight and more likely to pull out a gun. You know, what are your thoughts about just like the current state of of hip hop in general? Like, because I feel like drill music is such a heavy trend.
Yeah, man. Drill. See, then I start sounding like the old man, and which I am. I'm 38, so man, drill. The sound is cool. To be to look on the, give it the silver lining. The sound is super cool, man. It's wavy, it's groovy. You know what I'm saying? Damn, I sound like I was from the '70s with that groovy. Goddamn. But yeah, it's a nice sound. But if they could tone down, putting real stuff, real crimes in their music, it might make it better for them. You see these guys getting locked up. I know you heard about Lil Durk now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Lil
that
Durk.
was really unfortunate. And he's alleged to basically have ordered the hit on
Yeah,
Quando Rondo's man, and five people, one guy was wearing a wire for like a couple years, and it seems like it's a possibility he could go away for the rest of his life, if and
yeah,
possibly
man.
face the death penalty, because
Right.
so that's a really unfortunate situation, man. When you see stuff like that, what are your thoughts?
Well, I just think about his clique, man. OTF is supposed to be only the fam, right? It's sickening, man. The streets is dead. Streets is dead. If anybody is, participating in that life, they see where it's going now, man. It's written in black and white. You see it on the news every day. Yet still people want to do it. But to each his own.
What do you think can bring about change in our community? Because it seems like that there are people who speak out regularly. I see these voices and stuff speaking up. I remember seeing the interviews with Wallow, who had done 20 years in prison, and he was
Yeah.
warning Little Dirk about the consequences of revenge, how he didn't
Yeah.
take revenge for his own brother being murdered. And
Hmm.
obviously people aren't listening or getting the message. And what do you think can take change, especially to get through to the younger generation so this doesn't continue to happen?
I wish I knew, brother. I wish we needed more like the brother D1. We need more D1s. We need more Lecrae's, but it's just unfortunate that people not trying to hear that. They rather get ratchet, which I understand is fun, but we need to do like Kendrick said, let the party die sometime.
Yeah, like do you feel like though there's a tide like changing because Kendrick Lamar is performing the Super Bowl? Like it seems to
Yeah.
be like that socially conscious artists are kind of getting their respect. You mentioned D1, you mentioned like Lecrae, like incredible artists, like Christian artists, and like they're getting respect as much as like other like secular artists.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely coming back. It's definitely coming back. And shout out to Griselda. Shout out to Griselda. Um, Benny the Butcher, 38 Special, they going on the run right now with the Stabbed and Shot 2, you know what I'm saying? Upstate New York. So hip hop is definitely coming back. I think it's I'd be like I can't say it would be, but I feel like it's gonna be like a second coming of a golden era coming.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, I think like, there's a lot of great artists. And I think like, that the corporations sometimes like, push like certain artists, like, where like, a lot of artists don't really get the shine. Do you see that? Like as far as like, what has been your journey as like, an independent artist trying to get heard and what are some of the challenges?
Oh man, the challenge, geez. Well, to be honest, the main challenge for me, myself, speaking on me, is just money, man. Like trying to invest in yourself, not as far as studios, because by now everybody has their own studio in the house. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to go to or you're trying to outsource to a studio, it's probably for the aesthetic if you want to get visuals or something like that. But really just trying to set up for like touring and uh management and staff if you need them. You know what I'm saying? It's a big issue with that myself. So I kind of play it low key right now. I just started really getting kind of the wings under me thanks to a couple people that have been helping me. Shout to Half Pint from Fatal Sins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he
Even
connected, man. Shout out to Half Pint.
yeah, shout to Half, man. Even man, him and his boys, they been working. They be working nonstop. I don't know how he do it. But yeah, as far as the journey, bro, I feel like really it's just starting now. And that's sad to say at 38. But, for myself, like I did some group things back in the day with my boys. Shout out to Coalition 301. We like performed under we opened up for like Slaughterhouse back when they was a group. You know what I'm saying? So we did some dope things together. Made a nice little buzz. It was like 11 of us. They would call us the Woo of Maryland. It was hilarious, but it was a dope compliment at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, hey man, we gonna keep it pushing. We're gonna keep pushing, man.
Definitely. You're working on a new project. I was like reading your Instagram post and you were talking about like, can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on two. Well, I want to say I'm gonna just leave it at two. My most recent is with my brother Diamond D from Texas. Actually, I'm working with a couple brothers from Texas. Something about that Southern hospitality, man. They get down out there. My man Diamond D hooked me up with a nice bundle of beats. And speaking about that golden era, it's like a lot of that golden era feel, like real boom bapish, almost really sound like Derringer, uh, Alchemist type sound, that type of deep, soulful feel. But yeah, I'm trying to drop that pretty soon. It's called The Line Test. And yeah, just something short and sweet. Nothing real like introspective. I was really just barring up on this, barring up and having fun. So that's one of them. Also, another project with my boy Tex the Great. Shout out to Tex the Great. Also produced by Diamond D. We're working on a track called or not a track, but a project called Rough Diamonds. So that should be in the works pretty soon. I think I want to say about 50% done with that. Maybe like 40, 50% done with that. And I'm also working on just been kind of like running down tracks for this project called Better Late Than Never. So that'll be my more kind of introspective track when I get like into my life, um uh getting into like my family and things like that. So those are the most recent things I'll be working on.
Definitely. I'll be listening to those, man. Like I look forward to them, man. Stainless. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey man, I appreciate you for having me, man. I appreciate you for putting me on your platform. Actually, can I
Definitely.
say one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
Hey man, I want to give a shout out to Angela Joy Clemens for actually putting me on this next edition, November edition of the Jack magazine. So I'll be I got uh my own spot in there. So if anybody catch that, man, just check that out. Check out my stuff on a link in my bio. Got a couple songs on there. If you want to hear something specific, if you just want to catch a vibe, man, hit me in my DM. I'll shoot you some links. And yeah, straight like that, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you,
Definitely Stainless. I appreciate you.
my man. Bless.